Mirai sat in her small apartment on the mining colony of Kepler 442b, watching the evening news on her old screen. The apartment was simple but clean, with pictures of her son Kim Dae-ho covering every wall. There were photos from when he was a baby, when he started school, when he graduated from the diplomatic academy, and when he got his first job as a courier for the human settlements. She smiled at the newest picture on her desk. Dae-ho had sent it just last week from his transport ship. He was standing next to a cargo hold full of medical supplies, grinning at the camera like he always did. He was 22 years old and believed he could help make the galaxy a better place by delivering medicine and food to the outer colonies that needed it most. The news anchor was talking about trade disputes between humans and the Galactic Council when suddenly the program changed. A cold reptilian face appeared on the screen. Mirai recognized him immediately. Arbiter Vex Thanner of the Galactic Council's Enforcement Division. His yellow eyes stared directly at the camera as he spoke in his harsh voice. Citizens of human space, today we have executed a terrorist who threatened galactic peace, Vex Thanner announced. The criminal Kim Dae-ho was found carrying classified military data intended for rebel forces. As required by Council Law 77 Alpha, he has been sentenced to immediate neural disintegration. Mirai's coffee cup slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. The hot liquid splashed across her legs, but she did not feel it. She could not breathe. She could not think. On the screen, they showed her son strapped to a chair in a white room. His eyes were wide with fear, but he was not crying. Even facing death, Dae-ho tried to be brave. This execution serves as a warning to all humans, Vex Thanner continued. Your species will learn to respect the natural order of the galaxy. You will submit to council authority or face the consequences. The camera focused on a machine with glowing wires. When they activated it, Dae-ho's body went rigid. His eyes rolled back, and then he was gone. Her beautiful son, who had never hurt anyone in his life, was dead in 3 seconds. Mirai fell to her knees among the broken pieces of her coffee cup. She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She wanted to cry, but the tears would not come. All she felt was a cold emptiness spreading through her chest like ice water in her veins. The door to her apartment opened and her neighbors rushed in. Park Jin-woo and Lee Salmon had heard the cup break and came to check on her. They were good, people who had worked the mines with her for 5 years. When they saw the execution still playing on her screen, Somin gasped and covered her mouth with both hands. Mirai, Jin-woo said softly, kneeling beside her. I am so sorry. This cannot be real. They killed him, Mirai whispered. Her voice sounded strange, like it was coming from far away. They killed my baby boy. Somin turned off the screen and helped Mirai to her feet. We need to get you to the medical center, she said. You are in shock. But Mirai pulled away from them. She walked to her bedroom and opened the metal box under her bed. Inside were things from her old life before she became a miner, before she had Dae-ho, before she tried to be a normal person living a quiet life. Her military medals were there, along with her service records and a single photograph of her Special Operations Unit. She picked up the photograph and stared at the 12 soldiers in black uniforms. They had called themselves the Ghost Squad back then. They were the ones the military sent when regular soldiers could not get the job done. They were the ones who went behind enemy lines and made problems disappear. She was the only woman in the unit, and they had given her a special nickname, Baba Yaga, after the witch in old Earth stories who punished those who deserved it. Jin-woo appeared in the doorway. Mirai, what are you doing? She looked at him and he stepped back. Something in her eyes had changed. The warm woman who supervised their mining crew was gone. In her place was someone cold and dangerous. They made a mistake, she said quietly. The council thinks they can murder innocent people and we will do nothing. They think humans are weak because we try to be peaceful. They are wrong. She pulled out more items from the box. Combat knives, encrypted communication devices, and identity cards with fake names. These were tools she had hoped never to use again. Tools from when she was a killer instead of a mother. You cannot fight the entire Galactic Council, Somin said from behind Jin-woo. They have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. Mirai smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I do not need to fight their armies. I just need to find the ones who killed my son. Armies are for wars between nations. This is something much more personal. She began packing the items into a small bag. Everything else in the apartment, the furniture, the mining equipment, the pictures of her happy life, none of it mattered anymore. The only thing that mattered was making the people who murdered Daeho pay for what they had done. Where will you go? Jinwoo asked. Earth first, she replied. I need to contact some old friends. Then I hunt down every council member who had anything to do with my son's death, starting with Vex Thanor. She picked up the newest picture of Daeho and held it against her chest. Her son had died believing he was helping people. The council had killed him to send a message to humanity about knowing their place in the galaxy. Now she would send them a message in return. She would remind them why humans had once been the most feared species in known space. Mirai, please think about this, Soman begged. If you attack the council, they might hurt other innocent humans. They might destroy entire colonies. Then they will learn what happens when you threaten my family, Mirai said. She looked at her neighbors one last time. These were good people who cared about her. She did not want them to get hurt because of what she was about to do. When the council investigators come here asking about me, tell them the truth. Tell them Han Mirai, the mining supervisor, is dead. Tell them she died the same day they murdered her son. She walked past them toward the door, carrying only her small bag and the picture of Daeho. If they ask what happened to her, tell them Baba Yaga took her place. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Jinwoo and Soman stood in the empty apartment, surrounded by the broken pieces of a coffee cup and the life of a woman who had just decided to become something terrible and necessary. Outside, Mirai looked up at the stars where her son had died. The cold emptiness in her chest was changing into something else now, something hot and sharp and patient. She had all the time in the galaxy to hunt down the people who had taken Daeho from her. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had earned their reputation as the ghost species, and why a mother's love could be the most dangerous weapon in the universe. 3 months after watching her son die on a council broadcast, Han Mirai stood in the cemetery on Earth where they had buried her husband Yoon Tae-hyung 8 years ago. The headstone was simple gray stone with his name, rank, and the words, Beloved, Father and Soldier. She knelt down and placed her hand on the cold marble. They killed our boy Tae-hyung, she whispered. They killed Daeho and they think there will be no consequences. They are wrong. The wind blew through the trees around the cemetery, making the leaves whisper like voices from the past. Mirai had sold everything she owned on the mining colony and used the money to buy passage back to Earth. She had not been home in over a decade, but some things never changed. The underground networks that existed during the war were still here, hidden beneath the surface of normal life. She left the cemetery and took a transport to the old part of the city, where the buildings were older and the streets were narrower. This was where soldiers came when they could not adjust to civilian life. This was where people who had done terrible things for good reasons tried to forget their past. This was where she would find the help she needed. The bar was called the Forgotten Unit, and it looked like any other drinking establishment from the outside. But when Mirai walked through the door, every conversation stopped. The men and women sitting at the tables were all former military. They could recognize one of their own just by the way she moved, the way she scanned the room for exits, the way she kept her hands free and ready. Behind the bar stood Cho Hyunwoo, her former commanding officer from the Ghost Squad. He was older now, with gray hair and lines around his eyes, but his posture was still straight and his hands were still steady. When he saw her, his expression did not change, but she saw him press a button under the bar. She knew he had just activated the security system that would make sure their conversation stayed private. I heard about your son, he said quietly as she sat down at the bar. I am sorry for your loss. Sorry is not enough, Mirai replied. I need information, I need weapons, and I need transportation. Hyunwoo poured 2 glasses of whiskey and slid one across the bar to her. I figured you might say that. Do you know what you are asking me to help you do? I am asking you to help me remind the galaxy why they used to fear humans, she said. She picked up the whiskey, but did not drink it. The council thinks they can murder our people without consequences. They need to learn otherwise. The Council has been testing us for months, Hyunwoo said. Your son was not the first innocent human they have killed. There have been others, traders accused of smuggling, doctors accused of biological warfare, teachers accused of spreading dangerous ideas. They are trying to see how far they can push us before we fight back. This information hit Mirai like a physical blow. Her son was not even a special target. He was just one of many innocent people the Council had murdered to test humanity's resolve. The cold rage in her chest grew hotter. How many? She asked. 47 confirmed deaths in the last year, Hyunwoo replied. All civilians, all innocent, all executed on false charges. He drank his whiskey in one gulp. The government knows about it, but they are afraid. They think if we retaliate, the Council will declare war on all human colonies. Maybe war is what we need, Mirai said. Maybe we have been peaceful for too long. Maybe, Hyunwoo agreed. But war takes time to plan and time to execute. What you want to do can happen much faster. He leaned across the bar. I have been running a private military company since I left the service. We do jobs that governments cannot officially authorize. If you want to hunt Council members, I can provide support. What kind of support? Intelligence, weapons, transportation, safe houses. Everything you need to operate in Council territory. He paused. But I want something in return. Mirai nodded. She had expected this. What do you want? I want you to send a message that cannot be misunderstood. I want the Council to know that killing innocent humans has consequences. I want other species to see what happens when they threaten our people. He smiled grimly. I want you to be Baba Yaga again. She finished her whiskey and set the glass down on the bar. Where do I start? Hyunwoo reached under the bar and pulled out a data tablet. First, you need proper equipment. I have arranged for you to visit an old friend of ours. Remember Bae Jisoo from the unit? Mirai did remember. Jisoo had been their specialist in unconventional warfare. She was the one who trained animals for military operations, who turned ordinary creatures into weapons of war. During the last conflict, her animal units had been some of the most effective tools they had. She runs a training facility now, Hyunwoo continued. Officially, she breeds pets for wealthy civilians. Unofficially, she still produces military animals for people who can pay her prices. He slid the tablet across the bar. She has 2 specimens that would be perfect for your mission. Mirai looked at the information on the tablet. The first file showed a large dog with cybernetic implants behind its ears and enhanced muscle structure. The breed was called a Korean Jindo, but this one had been modified for combat operations. Its senses were enhanced, its intelligence was increased, and its loyalty programming was absolute. The second file showed something much smaller but potentially more dangerous. A honey badger with reinforced claws and enhanced aggression protocols. The file noted that honey badgers were already fearless and nearly impossible to kill. The enhanced version would be able to access areas too small for humans and survive in environments that would kill most other creatures. The dog is for tactical support and companionship, Hyunwoo explained. Long-term solo operations can drive people insane. Having a loyal companion helps maintain psychological stability. The honey badger is for specialized infiltration and sabotage. It can go places you cannot reach and do things you cannot do. What are their names? Mirai asked. The dog is called Bulgogi. The honey badger is called Kimchi. Jisoo has a sense of humor about these things. Despite everything, Mirai almost smiled. Naming military animals after Korean food was exactly the kind of thing Jisoo would do. When can I meet them? Tomorrow. Jisoo's facility is 3 hours outside the city. She knows you are coming. Hyunwoo leaned back. But before you go, there is something else you need to know. The Council has been monitoring human communications. They are expecting some kind of retaliation for the executions. They will be watching for organized military response. Good, Mirai said. Let them watch for armies and fleets. They will never see one angry mother coming. She stood up from the bar and turned to leave, but Hyunwoo called her name. When she looked back, his expression was serious. Mireille, once you start down this path, there is no going back. You will become something that cannot exist in normal society. You will become a weapon that can never be put away. He paused. Are you sure this is what Deho would want? For a moment, the cold rage in her chest wavered. Her son had been a gentle person who believed in peace and helping others. He would not want his mother to become a killer for revenge. But then she remembered his face in those final seconds, the fear in his eyes as they strapped him to that chair. Deho would want justice, she said firmly. Since the galaxy will not provide justice, I will create it myself. She walked out of the bar and into the night. Tomorrow she would meet her new companions and begin the transformation from grieving mother to something the galaxy had not seen in decades. Tomorrow she would stop being Han Mirai and become Baba Yaga permanently. The council had killed her son to send a message about human weakness. Soon they would learn what human strength actually looked like. 6 months after her son's execution, the woman who had once been Han Mirai crouched in the cargo hold of a transport ship approaching Trade Station Helix 7. She no longer thought of herself by her old name. She was Baba Yaga now, and she had come to collect a debt of blood. Next to her, Bulgogi lay quietly with his enhanced ears listening to sounds from the ship's corridors. The dog's cybernetic implants glowed softly in the darkness, processing information and feeding it directly to his enhanced brain. On her other side, Kimchi the honey badger cleaned her reinforced claws with the patience of a predator preparing for a hunt. 3 weeks of training with Beiji Su had transformed them from strangers into a perfect team. Bulgogi could track targets through walls using thermal sensors. Kimchi could access ventilation systems and sabotage equipment in ways no human could manage. Together with Mirai's military training, they had become something the galaxy had never encountered before. Trade Station Helix 7 was their first target because it represented everything wrong with the Council's treatment of humans. For 6 months, Vorth tax collectors had been demanding impossible payments from human merchants. When the humans could not pay, the collectors would beat them publicly and confiscate their goods. Last week they had beaten an elderly trader named Song Do-yun so badly that he died from his injuries. The transport ship docked with the station and began unloading cargo containers. Mirai waited until the crew was busy with the manifest checks, then slipped out of her hiding place. Bulgogi and Kimchi followed silently, their training keeping them invisible and quiet. The station was a massive structure with dozens of levels connected by corridors and lift shafts. Most of the businesses were on the middle levels, while the security offices were near the docking bays. Mirai had studied the station's layout for weeks using intelligence provided by Cho Hyunwoo's network. She knew exactly where to find the Vorth collectors who had murdered Song Do-yun. She made her way through the maintenance passages with her companions, avoiding the main corridors where security cameras might spot them. The passages were narrow and dark, designed for repair crews rather than passengers. But they provided perfect cover for someone who did not want to be seen. Bulgogi's enhanced hearing detected the Vorth security patrol before they appeared around a corner. His cybernetic implants sent a signal to Mirai's tactical display, showing her exactly where the aliens were positioned. There were 3 of them, armed with energy weapons and wearing the black uniforms of council enforcement. Mirai signaled for Kimchi to take position in the ventilation shaft above the corridor. The honey badger disappeared into the darkness like smoke, moving through spaces that would be impossible for larger creatures. Bulgogi crept forward to provide overwatch, his enhanced muscles coiled and ready to attack on command. The first Vorth never saw her coming. Mirai dropped from an overhead access panel directly behind him, her combat knife sliding between his ribs before he could make a sound. The second Vorth spun toward the noise just as Kimchi dropped from the ceiling onto his head, her claws raking across his throat in a spray of dark alien blood. The third Vorth managed to raise his weapon, but Bulgogi was already in motion. The enhanced dog hit him like a missile, crushing him against the wall with enough force to crack the metal plating. The alien's weapon scattered across the floor as his body went limp. 3 minutes, Mirai whispered to her companions. They had practiced this timing until it was perfect. 3 minutes to eliminate the security patrol, plant their message, and disappear before anyone noticed the guards were missing. She pulled out a small device and attached it to the wall next to the dead Vorth. When activated, it would project a holographic message for anyone who found the bodies. The message was simple but effective. This is what happens when you kill innocent humans, Baba Yaga. They moved deeper into the station, heading for their primary target. According to Yunwu's intelligence, tax collector Vak Thul was in his private office counting the money he had stolen from human merchants. He was the one who had given the order to beat Song Do-hyun. He was the one who had laughed while the old man died on the floor of his own shop. The office was on level 15, behind multiple security doors and surrounded by guards. But Mireille had not planned to use the main entrance. Instead, she sent Kimchi through the air ducts to sabotage the office's environmental systems. Within minutes, toxic gas would force Vak Thul's bodyguards to evacuate, leaving him alone and vulnerable. While they waited, Bulgogi's sensors detected movement in nearby corridors. More guards were responding to the missing patrol, but they were searching in the wrong areas. The enhanced dog's tactical analysis showed multiple escape routes, all of them clear for the next 8 minutes. The environmental alarm began sounding in Vak Thul's office. Through the security cameras that Kimchi had accessed, Mireille watched the Vorth guard stumble out of the office, coughing and gasping from the gas. But Vak Thul himself remained inside, too arrogant to believe anyone would dare attack him in his own domain. Mireille entered the office through a maintenance hatch, dropping silently into the room where the tax collector sat behind his desk. Vak Thul was a large Vorth with expensive clothing and jewelry stolen from his victims. When he saw her, his yellow eyes widened with surprise and then narrowed with contempt. "A human assassin," he hissed in his species' harsh language. "How amusing. Do you know what I do to humans who threaten me?" "I know what you did to Song Do-hyun," Mireille replied calmly. "I know you beat an innocent old man to death for money he did not have." Vak Thul laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "That weak creature deserved to die. All humans deserve to die. Your species is a plague on the galaxy." "You are wrong," Mireille said, pulling out her combat knife. "We are not a plague. We are something much worse. We are the cure." The tax collector reached for his weapon, but he was too slow. Mireille moved like lightning, her blade finding the gaps in his expensive armor. Vak Thul tried to call for help, but Kimchi had already severed the communication cables. He tried to activate the emergency alarm, but Bulgogi had destroyed the control panel with surgical precision. When it was over, Mireille left another message device next to Vak Thul's body, but this message was different. This one included footage of Song Do-hyun's beating and death, along with evidence of the tax collector's other crimes against human civilians. "Let this be a lesson," her recorded voice said. "When you murder innocents, someone will come for you. When you prey on the weak, you will meet someone stronger. I am Baba Yaga, and I am only the beginning." They escaped through the same maintenance passages they had used to enter, disappearing into the station's vast network of service tunnels and cargo bays. By the time security forces found the bodies, Mireille and her companions were already aboard another transport ship, heading for their next target. News of the attack spread quickly through both human and alien communication networks. Some humans called her a terrorist while others called her a hero. But among the council species there was only fear. They had grown comfortable believing that humans were weak and passive. The idea that individual humans could be dangerous had not occurred to them for decades. Mireille did not care what anyone called her. She had a list of council officials who had participated in the murder of innocent humans, and she was going to work through that list methodically. Each death would send a message to the galaxy. Humans were not weak, they were not passive, and they definitely were not going to tolerate the murder of their people. The hunt had begun, and Baba Yaga was patient. She had all the time in the galaxy to make the council pay for what they had done to her son. 1 year after Kim Dae-ho's execution, the Galactic Council faced a crisis unlike anything in their long history. In the past 6 months, 7 high-ranking council officials had been assassinated by the human terrorist known as Baba Yaga. Each death was more audacious than the last. and each message left behind was more terrifying than the previous one. Council Military Coordinator Thrixvar stood before the emergency assembly on Nexus Prime, the Council's capital world. Representatives from 43 species filled the massive chamber, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of clicks, hisses, and electronic sounds. But despite their different languages and biology, they all shared the same emotion: fear. The human assassin has made a mockery of our security, Thrixvar announced, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light. She has infiltrated military bases, private residences, and even a diplomatic yacht in deep space. Our best hunters have failed to capture her. Our most sophisticated surveillance systems cannot track her. From the Vorth delegation, Ambassador Kesrath rose to speak. This creature is not operating alone, he declared. No single human could accomplish what she has done. She must have support from Earth's military forces. Our intelligence suggests otherwise, Thrixvar replied. Baba Yaga appears to be acting independently, with only 2 animal companions and minimal technological support. She represents something we have never encountered before, a human conducting personal warfare. The chamber erupted in confused noise as the various species tried to understand this concept. The idea of individual combat motivated by personal loss was alien to most council races. They were used to organized military campaigns driven by political or economic goals. The notion that one being would wage war to avenge a single death was incomprehensible to them. What do you mean by personal warfare? Asked Chancellor Mordeth, the supreme leader of the council. His voice carried the authority of someone who had ruled the galaxy for 3 decades. Humans have a history of individual combat that predates their space travel, Thrixvar explained. Before they developed advanced technology, their warriors would hunt enemies across vast distances for years or even decades. They call it vendetta, and it appears to be encoded in their primitive psychology. Primitive or not, it is effective, admitted Intelligence Chief Yelthara. Baba Yaga has killed more council officials in 6 months than all previous human terrorist attacks combined. And her methods are becoming more sophisticated with each assassination. The holographic display showed footage from the latest attack. Arbiter Zekthul's luxury yacht had been found drifting in space with all crew members dead. Security cameras had captured images of the human assassin methodically hunting down every person aboard the ship. Her animal companions had disabled the ship's weapons and communication systems while she eliminated the crew one by one. The most disturbing aspect, Yelthara continued, is that she left Zekthul for last. The recordings show that she forced him to watch his entire crew die before killing him. This suggests a level of psychological warfare that our species do not typically employ. Chancellor Mordeth studied the footage with growing unease. What does she want? Has she made any demands? No demands, Thrixvar replied. She simply kills council officials who were involved in the execution of human civilians. Our analysts believe she is working through a predetermined list of targets. How many more targets does she have? Asked Ambassador Kesrath. At least 23 confirmed names, possibly more, Yelthara answered. If she continues at her current rate, she will eliminate all of them within the next year. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. 23 more assassinations would effectively paralyze the Council's enforcement operations. More importantly, it would demonstrate to every species in the galaxy that the Council could not protect its own officials from a single human with 2 animals. We must take decisive action, Chancellor Mordeth declared. Deploy the Omega Fleet to hunt down this terrorist. Use whatever resources are necessary. With respect, Chancellor, conventional military responses have proven ineffective, Thrixvar said carefully. The Omega Fleet consists of 1,200 warships designed for large-scale combat operations. Baba Yaga operates as a single individual, using stolen civilian vessels. Our ships cannot target something that small and mobile. Then what do you suggest? Mordeth demanded. We need to understand human psychology better. Intelligence Chief Yelthara interjected. Our studies indicate that humans have strong emotional bonds with their offspring. Baba Yaga began this campaign to avenge her son's death. If we can neutralize the emotional motivation, we might be able to stop the attacks. How do we neutralize emotion? Asked Ambassador Kesrath. We target her support network, Yelthara explained. Baba Yaga has maintained contact with several humans on her homeworld. If we eliminate them, she will understand that continued attacks will result in more human deaths. The suggestion caused another eruption of noise in the chamber. Some species supported the idea of collective punishment, while others worried about provoking a larger human military response. The risk is too great, warned Representative Durmain of the Hexapod Collective. If we kill innocent humans to stop one assassin, Earth's government might authorize full-scale retaliation. Humans have the largest military fleet in this sector of the galaxy. Earth's government has remained officially neutral throughout this crisis, Thrixvar pointed out. They have made no moves to support or capture Baba Yaga. This suggests they are content to let her operate independently. Chancellor Mordeth considered the options carefully. The Council's authority depended on their ability to enforce their will throughout the galaxy. If one human terrorist could kill their officials with impunity, other species might begin to question Council power. But if they escalated the conflict and provoked Earth into open warfare, the consequences could be catastrophic. We will try a different approach, he finally decided. Instead of hunting Baba Yaga, we will force her to come to us, increase security around all remaining targets, and concentrate them in locations where we can control the environment. You want to use our own officials as bait? Asked Ambassador Kesrath. I want to create a situation where she must attack on our terms rather than hers, Mordeth replied. Baba Yaga has succeeded because she chooses when and where to strike. If we remove that advantage, she becomes just another assassin with limited resources. Intelligence Chief Yelthara activated a new holographic display showing the layout of Nexus Prime. We could concentrate all remaining targets in the high-security zone of the capital. The facility is surrounded by energy shields, protected by orbital defense platforms, and staffed with our best security forces. If she wants to complete her list, she will have to come here. And when she arrives? Thrixvar asked. We will be ready, Chancellor Mordeth said grimly. We will show the galaxy that the Council cannot be intimidated by human terrorists, no matter how skilled or determined they might be. The Assembly voted to approve the plan, though many representatives remained nervous about the potential consequences. They were about to learn whether their advanced technology and superior numbers could defeat a human's capacity for personal vengeance. In the depths of space, aboard a stolen cargo vessel, Baba Yaga received intelligence about the Council's new, defensive strategy through her network of human contacts. She studied the information while Bulgogi monitored the ship's sensors and Kimchi maintained their stolen equipment. The Council thought they could force her to fight on their terms by concentrating her targets in one location. They believed their shields and weapons would protect them from one human assassin. They were about to discover that humans had been fighting impossible odds long before they reached the stars. She began planning her most ambitious operation yet, an assault on the most heavily defended location in Council space. It would be dangerous, probably suicidal, but it would also send a message that would echo throughout the galaxy for generations. The Council had killed her son to demonstrate their power over humanity. Soon they would learn that some demonstrations come with a terrible price. 18 months after watching her son die, Baba Yaga floated in the darkness between stars, preparing for an attack that would change the galaxy forever. Her stolen Council corvette drifted silently toward Nexus Prime, its systems powered down, to avoid detection by the orbital defense platforms surrounding the capital world. Inside the ship, she made final preparations while Bulgogi and Kimchi waited with the patience of professional killers. The enhanced dog's cybernetic implants glowed softly as he monitored communication frequencies, listening for any sign that their approach had been detected. The honey badger cleaned her reinforced claws with methodical precision, her enhanced aggression protocols keeping her calm before the coming violence. Through intelligence gathered from her network of human contacts, Baba Yaga knew that the Council had consolidated all her remaining targets in the high-security complex of Nexus Prime. 23 council officials who had participated in the murder of innocent humans now cowered behind energy shields, and armed guards believing their combined defenses would protect them from one human assassin. They were wrong. She had spent 3 months studying the complex's defenses, identifying weaknesses that the council's engineers had never considered. The facility was designed to repel large-scale military assaults, but it had vulnerabilities that only someone with her specialized training could exploit. The shields that protected the complex from orbital bombardment also trapped the defenders inside a limited area. The automated defense systems that could destroy entire fleets were programmed to ignore small, slow-moving objects like maintenance pods. Most importantly, the complex's environmental systems were connected to the planet's underground river network for cooling and waste management, rivers that a small, fearless creature could navigate to reach the heart of the facility. "Are you ready, little one?" she asked Kimchi, who responded with a soft chittering sound that meant, "Always ready to kill." Bulgogi's enhanced senses detected the gravity well of Nexus Prime ahead of them. His tactical analysis confirmed that the orbital defense platforms were positioned exactly as their intelligence had indicated. 47 weapons platforms capable of destroying capital ships, all focused outward to protect against external threats. None of them were designed to stop a single small vessel approaching from the planet's shadow. Baba Yaga activated the corvette's minimal thrusters, just enough to adjust their trajectory toward the planet's night side. In 6 hours, the complexy would be hosting a special session where the Council's leadership would address the human terrorist threat. All her targets would be gathered in one location, along with the most powerful political figures in known space. She planned to kill them all. The corvette entered the planet's atmosphere using a flight path normally reserved for garbage scows and maintenance vessels. The traffic control systems registered them as Sanitation Unit 447 Delta and assigned them a landing pad in the industrial sector, 15 kilometers from the high-security complex. By the time anyone realized the ship's identification was false, it would be too late. After landing, Baba Yaga changed into maintenance worker coveralls and loaded her equipment into a standard repair kit. Bulgogi wore a service animal vest that would allow him access to most facilities, while Kimchi hid in a specially designed compartment within the repair kit. To any observer, they looked like a maintenance worker and her assistant's animal heading to a routine repair job. The underground. Access tunnels beneath Nexus Prime were a maze of pipes, cables, and service corridors that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. These tunnels were essential for maintaining a city of 50 million beings, but they were also virtually unguarded. Who would waste security personnel watching sewer pipes and electrical conduits? Baba Yaga had memorized every turn and junction. During her months of preparation, she moved through the tunnels with the confidence of someone who belonged there, while Bulgogi's enhanced senses guided them past the few automated security systems they encountered. When they reached the river access point beneath the high-security complex, she unsealed Kimchi's compartment and prepared the honey badger for her most important mission. "This is it, little warrior," she whispered, attaching micro-explosives to Kimchi's specially designed harness. "Find the shield generators and plant these charges exactly where we practiced. Then get out and meet us at the extraction point." Kimchi chittered once and disappeared into the dark water of the underground river. The honey badger's enhanced physiology allowed her to hold her breath for over an hour, while her reinforced claws helped her navigate the underwater passages. She would emerge inside the complex's mechanical systems, invisible to guards who never imagined their enemy would come from below. While Kimchi infiltrated the shield generators, Baba Yaga and Bulgogi made their way to the complex's main entrance. She had no intention of sneaking inside. When the shields failed, she planned to walk through the front door and kill every council official in the building. The high-security complex was a massive structure of black stone and energy barriers, surrounded by guard towers and defensive positions. Hundreds of armed soldiers from dozens of species patrolled the perimeter, while automated weapons tracked anything that moved within a kilometer of the building. Above the complex, the shimmering dome of an energy shield made the air itself glow with contained power. Baba Yaga checked her chronometer. Kimchi should be reaching the generator room now. The honey badger would need exactly 17 minutes to plant all the charges and escape through the water system. During those 17 minutes, Baba Yaga would position herself for the assault that would end her war against the Galactic Council. She found a maintenance shed with a clear view of the complex's main entrance and settled in to wait. Bulgogi lay beside her, his enhanced senses monitoring the guards' patrol patterns while his tactical systems calculated optimal firing positions. They had done this dance many times before, but never on this scale. Never with stakes this high. Inside, the complex, the Council's emergency session was reaching its climax. Chancellor Mordeth stood before the assembled representatives, delivering a speech about the importance of maintaining order in the face of human terrorism. Behind him, a massive display showed images of Baba Yaga's previous attacks, each one a testament to the Council's inability to protect their own officials. The terrorist has made one critical error, Mordeth declared. She has allowed her emotions to override tactical judgment. By concentrating her remaining targets in one location, we have forced her into a position where she must attack our strongest defenses or abandon her mission of revenge. The representatives murmured their agreement, but many remained nervous. They had seen what Baba Yaga could accomplish with minimal resources. Gathering all her targets in one place might be tactically sound, but it also meant that a successful attack would decapitate the Council's entire enforcement structure. Even if she attempts to assault this facility, Mordeth continued, she will find it impossible to penetrate our defenses. The energy shields can repel the largest warships. The automated defense systems can destroy entire armies. And our security forces represent the finest warriors from across the galaxy. At that moment, 16 explosions erupted simultaneously in the complex's basement levels. Kimchi had done her job perfectly, destroying the shield generators with surgical precision while avoiding the power systems that kept the lights on. The energy dome above the complex flickered and died, leaving the building exposed for the first time in decades. Emergency alarms began wailing throughout the facility, as security forces scrambled to understand what had happened. In the confusion, few guards noticed the lone figure walking calmly toward the main entrance. Baba Yaga moved like she owned the place, her enhanced dog beside her and her weapons ready for the final confrontation. The first guard who challenged her died before he could finish his question. The second guard managed to raise his weapon, but Bulgogi was faster, his enhanced muscles launching him through the air to crush the alien's throat. By the time the remaining guards realized they were under attack, Baba Yaga was already inside the complex and moving toward the assembly chamber where her targets waited. She killed methodically and efficiently, using every skill learned from decades of special operations. Each dead guard brought her closer to the men who had murdered her son. Each step through the complex was a step toward justice that the galaxy had failed to provide. When she reached the assembly chamber, the council representatives were in full panic. Some were trying to escape while others called for their personal guards. But there was nowhere to run, and no one left to protect them. Baba Yaga had come to collect a debt written in innocent blood. She stood in the chamber's doorway with her weapons drawn, looking at the 43 species representatives who ruled the galaxy. For a moment, the chamber was completely silent except for the sound of her breathing. "My name was Han Mirai," she said in a voice that carried to every corner of the room. "You murdered my son Kim Daeho to send a message about human weakness. Now I am here to send a message about human strength." The killing that followed was swift and terrible. When it was over, 23 council officials lay dead, and the survivors cowered behind overturned tables.